Joining you today from the Department of Aid, Trade, Consumer Protection, it's my friend Michael. He's back. And Michael, you're dressed up today for this exact one. You're about to sell me a timeshare. Timeshare lodging for holiday travel is the topic. But more importantly, timeshares are tricky. Very, very tricky. We exchange stories about timeshare stuff that we both have been involved with. And I'll leave it at that. Not going to say anything more. But it's a tough one. Easy to get in, hard to get out. Not a lot of understanding of fees, all those things. What does DATCP say when they look at a timeshare and are about to tell you something?
Well, what we want to do is we want to bring awareness and make sure everyone understands all of the little nuances that go into timeshare ownership. And the biggest message we want to say is we're not here advocating that everyone should avoid timeshares because there is a market for timeshare owners. And so what we want to do, though, is, we always talk about those presentations and the sales pitches, and the things can be very convincing, and oftentimes you may get looped into a purchase that maybe you didn't want to make or you didn't realize. And so we're just here to make sure they understand what they should be looking out for, what are those additional fees and costs they might not be thinking about. So in the long term, you're ensuring that it was a right purchase for you. One of the big things that we try and advocate is understanding what that initial cost is. Can you afford that? And then what are those additional costs that'll be looped in, such as maintenance fees? We looked at in the last, I think 2020 or 21, the average cost of a timeshare was over $20,000 for your initial investment. And then the average maintenance fee is $1,000 a year.
What?
$1,000. So every year you're paying that $1,000, whether you use that unit or not, whether you just go there and sit in the room and never leave it, $1,000, whether you use any of those facilities, perks, benefits, all those things that they attribute that maintenance fee to go towards, you're going to have to pay it regardless.
And it's good. Whether you're unsatisfied, I like how it's written in here. Remember, unsatisfied timeshare owners cannot simply quit. What? You can't just quit something?
Well, you can. It's just like, imagine it's like your house. If you get to your house and you're there for a few years and you decide, I just don't like the house, or I don't like the neighborhood, you don't just pack up and leave. Same thing with the timeshare. You buy it, you own it, and you're committed to whatever the term of that contract is. And we've seen different durations, some maybe 20 years, 30 years. We've even seen some that are indefinite. Can you imagine signing a contract in which you're just going to indefinitely pay for that? And you're bound to it? It's crazy.
I often think like they must have the best set of lawyers and the best contract that's ever written ever. That's 300 pages deep of stuff that you would never even think of. And so that kind of leads me into some of the next questioning here is this is a pressure tactic, generally speaking. Again, not saying that all timeshares are bad or anything, but things to think about when you're on these. Some of these are pressured sales, and that can catch you off guard.
And you talk about high pressure sales, the things we've talked about with other industries. We talked about last month, the home improvement, where somebody's showing up at your door and you got to take care of this right now. Vehicle sales has been notorious for those high pressure sales. And the message is always the same in anything that you're buying is you want to pause, you want to take a second to think about, is this the right purchase, but also understand what's being presented. You mentioned a contract in which they has a lot of terms and conditions, or how do they do that? Well, we don't want anyone to sign anything they don't understand. And sometimes it can be intimidating and you don't want to feel foolish or feel like you don't understand it or you're dumb and so I should just sign so it seems. And that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make is you want to do that. And so what you want to do is ask them, can I take it home? Can I go look at this contract overnight? And then you want to have somebody else who might be educated in this particular area, such as an attorney or, there's timeshare experts out there that can give it a quick glance and let you know, yep, it seems like a good opportunity. Is it right for you? But you want to get yourself out of that high pressure scenario for a second and breathe.
A cooling off period is described here, and I can't even imagine saying that at a timeshare pitch. Can I take this home? I can't imagine them being like, oh my, no.
Right.
But honestly, you're right. Having an extra set of eyes looking at it, and some of these can be pretty beneficial if done correctly. But as mentioned, you gotta have that research, gotta know what you're getting in, and even learning about the rights that you have and or the management company, doing some of that research behind the scenes of what is this company and are they really rated well for a timeshare? Right. that's a good starting spot as well.
It is. The cooling off period is important to understand what your rights are because it gives you a benefit. But you got to understand whether the state that you're buying it in offers one. Here in Wisconsin, we do have a cooling off period. And what that does is it allows you to maybe sign with confidence knowing that you've got a couple days that you can come back and say, nope, I gave in to the pressure. I went home, got yelled at, realized that was a bad call. And I need to cancel that contract. But then also understanding the company that you're buying into. Is it brand new? Do they have a reputation of being, because if they get bought out or sold out or maybe go into bankruptcy, you need to understand what your rights are with that deed.
Yeah, like if you could hand it right over to the next company and then all of a sudden you're locked into something. Yeah. Well, anyways, there's another side of this too. So we've been talking kind of pre-ended it, like you're getting ready to sign. But there are places out there that try to get you out of these things. So they use the tactics of saying, well, we're buddies with this. We know how to get you out of those timeshare contracts. You got to be worried just a little bit.
Well, you should be cautious and make sure you're understanding what they're actually offering. Timeshare resellers market everywhere, certainly in the areas like we have in Wisconsin and the Dells and Door County where you have a high population of those. But oftentimes these timeshare resellers will promise you that they can get out of that. They'll also use high pressure tactics like telling you you're going to be stuck with this forever. They're going to tell you that your kids are going to be stuck with this burden. And so they're going to want to get you to pay some upfront fees and then under the guise that they'll guarantee getting out of that. And oftentimes they're not successful.
Yeah, and you might be out someone. So same things too, as far as getting out of these things or even choosing the right company. We talk about these things all the time. If you're going to pick 4 things to consider before hiring somebody for anything, what would you say?
Do your research. Understand what it is that you are going to be purchasing. Take a second, pause, think about what that is, and then what are your rights after you make that decision. Do those 4 things and you can be successful in just about any purchase here in Wisconsin.
And guess what? If you're like, okay, Jeremy, we've talked about a lot of things here. Michael's got a lot of things he just said, and I am in a timeshare situation. I bet you there's a resource we can find more stuff about this or just reference points for you to kind of like, oh, here's where I could start.
You're a wise young man. Indeed, there is.
That's the first person who's ever said that.
Well, DATCP.wi.gov. Go to our website. We have some fact sheets on exactly what we're talking about here. Gives you some material to take with you if you decide you want to embark on one of these. And you can kind of use that as a checklist to make sure that you're covering all your bases.
A wise man once said, go to the DATCP's website and learn more. Or something like that. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks, Jeremy.